Or so she says.
Like us on your show notes, drop them like they're hot. Drop them like they're hot.
Okay. Everybody ready then?
Ready.
It is Friday, June 14th, 2019. I'm Micah Sargent, and right now we are going to talk a little bit about WWDC because, you know, Georgia and I are here now and we're all back together. We're going to talk about a new entry on the Windows Store from our pals at Apple, some accessibility conversations, some apps perhaps, and definitely we have to wrap things up with some conversation about E3 because this is the iMore show. Music plays. Oh, I like that. E3. So joining us this week with clever hand symbols is all the way from the wilds of Canada. It's Georgia Dow. How you doing, Georgia?
I'm good.
E3, what up? For those of you listening, Georgia's just making some hand signs that say E3. So, you know, nothing too wild. We're also joined from the wilds of Canada in the same place as Georgia Dow by another person wearing AirPods. They're risky business over there.
Is that the iMore symbol? There was
nice. I am. And he is Renee Ritchie. How you doing, Renee?
I want to call the show Apps Perhaps now.
I liked Apps Perhaps.
Apps Perhaps. I like that. Did I say that?
Apps Perhaps when you're wearing your hats. I don't have hats for my apps, perhaps.
I was going to do it.
Was this Dr. Seuss there? I like that Pixar zip up you got going there. That's pretty neat.
You. Yeah. I got this from a friend who worked at Pixar before Apple poached him to work on Pro Workflows.
Oh, Pro Workflows, you say? Well,
yes.
The final pal here, not from the wilds of Canada, but from the sweet, sweet banks of California. I was like, not Mississippi. That's weird. Of California, but not really the banks because you're not that far out. It's Lori Gill. Lori, help me.
We have a lot of riverbanks in California. We're known for our riverbanks out here. So,
the beautiful rivers of California.
I was thinking of money banks, but okay.
Oh, those banks, yeah.
Well, we do have a lot of money banks in California because we're rich.
Rodeo.
Georgia and Micah, we missed you at WWDC. What'd you think? Oh my gosh.
We were having a lot of fun. I don't think you missed us that much.
She threw a lot of stuff at you and she didn't hit you with any of it.
I loved those photos you were posting. It looked like
so
a good time. Yeah. So warmed my heart for sure. But we're here now. And, you know, you folks had the sort of, like I always say, boots on the ground, sort of right after it happened, reacts of WWDC, but now we're all back together, and I thought we could start things out by having a brief as it can be, conversation about the different things that were announced at WWDC, and I thought we could start with watchOS because that one's, you know, it's not too complicated.
There was nothing Rory liked about
complicated.
watchOS.
Get it?
I totally meant to do that.
Will you watch yourself, Micah?
Lori.
Oh no, it's getting worse.
I don't have anything. You should wear a crown for those puns. I'm not good at that. Lori, Renee says you didn't like anything about watchOS. What does that mean?
Renee's lying is what that means.
Renee's a lying liar. Okay.
Well, it's actually a couple of my favorite features coming from the announcements at WWDC happened to come on they happen to be on watchOS. So that's the funny irony there. But quickly, my two favorite features that were announced for the Watch app so far, or for watchOS so far, if I dig in deeper, there might be bigger ones. The cycles tracking, which I've already talked about a handful of times, and the noise or health hearing, which Micah, I talked with you about on Clockwise. So I'm pretty excited about both of those. I was wearing my Apple Watch with the beta the other night when I was at band practice, and sure enough, like our practice was clearly too loud. I was wearing earplugs, but my watch did give me a little bump, a little like, hey, it's a little loud in here. So
I love
it's
that. That's such a brilliant idea, isn't it? Brilliant. I think that's a brilliant
Apparently
idea.
That was going off at the Raptors game last night. All the people in Toronto.
But you know what? Then it gives you a little bit of a warning to like protect your ears. Like
I'm
it's a
wondering
smart
if your
idea.
kids are going to install it and then go, "Mom, yelling, mom."
Now, can I give you my one of my biggest like oh my god moments when I was going through the Watch OS?
Yeah, of course.
So I'm sitting there, I'm listening. I love all the stuff. It's really, really great. With you, Lori, I would love the cycle track. I do, yeah. But then it went through the like, when like the reminders to like stand up and stuff, and it's the bird signal, the little, and I looked, and my head just went. That was like, I was like, who thought of that? That is a horrible, horrible idea. All I thought to myself is, I am going to punch someone in a restaurant.
No, the noise app is going to go off when everybody's Robin calls go off.
I went, I'm going to punch someone. That is a horrible idea to have a bird sound. Like you're in a house, like you're at a restaurant, you're at someone else, and you're going to hear all these little bird sounds go off every hour. I'm like, no, that's not okay.
What about the Taptic version? Just the tapping on
I'm fine with it. If you want it Taptic, that should, but whoever thought of making a bird noise so that while we're in a movie theater or doing anything
can
else.
You tell Kevin Lynch to run for his damn life right now?
I'm going to punch someone. The noise really irked me, and I went, people are going to forget that it's on, and it's going to be all over the place.
I don't want to see anyone get a punch today, please.
Everyone punches Renee right next to it.
It's a horrible idea. I actually I thought it was a joke. I'm like, that's a joke, right? They're just saying that, and then they're going to be like, no.
I need to be clear about something, Georgia. Are you saying that you heard the bird call and you were thinking that's going to go off, and you're going to think that someone's like whistling at you, or you just find it annoying, and so you're going to punch someone?
I just find it annoying. I do not think anyone is whistling at me.
The Robin might be.
I just thought that's going to happen all the time in different areas of your life. Someone's going to have every hour, or someone at work is going to have that on. A civilian
is going to get one of these watches and not know any better. It's like, remember when the Samsung Galaxy phone came out like 2 or 3 years ago and had those bloop bloop sounds and nobody turned them off? And you're sitting in like restaurants and airports and movie theaters, and people around you are like bloop 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 bloop.
Or the click when iOS made the new clicking for the keyboard, and everybody had that on.
Yep.
They still sometimes do.
If you're listening to this show, you should definitely go to YouTube and look for this episode, because in the past like 10 minutes, Georgia has made some wonderful, not 10 minutes, it's not even that long, like the past 4 minutes, Georgia has made some hilarious reactionary faces as Renee has whistled, and she just looks very annoyed, and I'm very concerned. And this reminds me, Georgia, of your campaign to destroy all iPads connected to Apple Pencils.
It wasn't the iPad. It was just to go over and just break them all off.
Pencil.
Those are just wrong. They're wrong.
Oh,
so
boy.
There we go. That was my one. That was my one of the few moments where I was like, "Oh yeah," and then I went, "What?"
So what we've learned is that Lori has 2 features she loves, and Georgia has a feature she hates.
I love the features that Lori loves. Those were good features. Those were amazing features. I think there's a lot amazing coming at us, but that one.
What about the App Store?
I think that's interesting. Yeah. So now this is kind of neat. The App Store is separated from iOS. So there's a watchOS App Store, which means that developers no longer have to deliver a full-on app that then has an extra watchOS app tagged along with it. So you can just download apps directly on your watch. That doesn't mean that they have to show up on iOS as well. And so not only does that help in terms of watchOS just having those apps that you want, but folks who make iOS apps can then have thinner apps because they don't have the watchOS component tacked onto it. So altogether,
it's Independence Day.
It's a pretty neat feature there that just makes it easier, to I think develop directly for the watch without having to consider the things between the two.
And to leave your phone at home. Like you don't have to have if you're worried that I'm out, I don't have my phone, I can't install this app, the whole world is terrible, I might as well make a Robin whistling sound now. You can just tap, like if you see in a great app, you can just tap it, install it directly on your watch.
Why do people need to know what hour it is? I'm sorry, I'll continue.
No, but I think like, because remember like the iPhone used to be slaved to
Yes.
iTunes
Oh, yeah.
on Mac or Windows, and
Real
you needed
hard.
that to install apps, you needed that to sync, you needed that to manage it. And then iOS 5 came around and you had iCloud and PC free and all that. And it feels like step by step, like last year hardware wise we got LTE, and then this year we're getting independent apps, and just like step by step it's growing up, and soon it's going to be a little grown up thing that can be all on its own.
What I want to know is with
Gizmo's getting his own
with all these separate things that you can do exclusively on Apple Watch, when are we going to get to the point where you don't need an iPhone to set up your Apple Watch? Because we're
Like
pretty darn
years,
close
you
right
think?
now.
It's just the screen is so small that doing a lot of the sign-in stuff and a lot of the arrangement stuff is
Would be
tedious.
really
but
long, yeah.
they're getting better at that.
Or you have the
I mean,
option to be able to do it one way or another.
we're definitely getting a lot closer to that as an option. I even think right now, I know that Apple will have plenty of reasons why they don't think it's a good experience yet, but they could right now make it an option. So if you don't have an iPhone, if you have an Android phone instead, and you
SIM
really
card
want an
isn't good
Apple
enough
Watch,
yet. Yeah.
Oh.
They'd have to build the app for Android, which is a lot of work. I think they would rather wait until it like right now the SIM card is still bound to the iPhone SIM, so you can't do things like MMS without the iPhone. But I think as soon as it's got independence, like its own eSIM, then they don't have to build the Android app and put all those resources into it. It's just like, whoever wants it can come buy it.
exactly,
Okay,
yeah.
that's interesting. I hadn't considered that, because the other day I knew that I was going to pretty much all the stores except for Walmart now in my town have Apple Pay enabled, and so I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be cool and I'm gonna be brave, and so I'm just gonna leave everything at home except for my Apple Watch and go to the store. And I did, and it went perfectly fine. It was really nice. It felt cool.
Yay.
Were you anxious?
I was because I thought, oh, well, what if I forgot to add my card to my watch, and, all these different things that could have gone wrong, or if there was some sort of like approve this thing and it wouldn't just work on the watch, then I'd have to like leave, and everything worked out just fine. And so I was pleasantly surprised by that. It was really nice. And so I like that more and more. We've talked about this before. We're getting a device that's be able to work independently. This also includes Siri being able to show like full website results on the Apple Watch.
Oh yeah, I haven't even tried that yet. That's what a great thing.
Instead of having to
reader
kick that
mode
to
too,
the
so
phone.
they're legible.
Voice memos is on the watch now, which had people excited, and also people like never get more excited than when they hear about a tip calculator, it seems.
I know. It's such
I
a
love
little
that.
thing, but such a big deal. And
It's also
what
a
I like
split like a split thing.
splitting
You also
between
split
people.
it. It's not just the tips. If you have 7 people, 8
I
people.
split 0 to me, 1 to Georgia. It works great. But where's my notes app? I mean, like they like finally we're bringing all these
Voice
apps to the
memos.
watch, and I just want to be able to say add to note, blah 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 blah, and then show me my notes, because maybe there's something in there that's important. And like Micah, I went out without my phone.
Yeah.
I don't know though. That to me, that's going to be a lot of words on the page. And I know, we can look at a lot of things with words on the page, like Safari pages, for example. But that's another one of those user experiences that I think Apple's probably going to postpone a little bit until they can really perfect how that looks on your watch, because that's a lot of words.
Yeah,
It
I like
is
to
a
just
lot,
text
yeah,
myself
true.
when I need to, and so you could say,
That's what I do
send
too.
a message to Micah Sargent.
Micah's not here right now.
I'm going to start sending my notes to Georgia. Georgia, you can send your notes to me, and then we'll sort of have that going. But those are the big things we certainly touched on there with watchOS. Let's move on to the next kind of smaller one, which is tvOS. I think the big deal here is multi-user support. What? This is super cool. So if you're wondering what the heck multi-user support means, it's the idea that everybody, in a household might have different interests in different shows. And so you're not all watching the same shows. And right now you turn on the TV, the Apple TV, and your recommendations and your photos and all this stuff is tuned to everybody who's using the TV. It's not split up between people. So you're going to be able to switch between different users, and that will allow the Apple TV to do a better job of controlling content that it shows you. But what's super cool is that this extends to developers. So I was just reading about the new framework for user support that makes it so that developers can take advantage of this. And you can think of an app like Hulu. In Hulu, you can set up a profile for yourself and for other people, and then it keeps track of what you're watching there, yada, yada, yada. Right now, if you go to the TV app and you launch Hulu, then you have to choose your profile. In the future, Hulu would basically be able to say, okay, I can look at the user that's logged in according to tvOS's multi-user support, and then automatically sync that up with our app and switch to that user that's in our app. And so that'll get easy so that no matter what app you're launching into to watch stuff, as long as the developer sets it up, then you'll be able to switch to that profile. I'm worried because of Netflix and Apple not playing well together, that's not going to work for Netflix. And like, that's the biggest one for me that I really want to happen with that user switching, because that is one where I actually do have multiple accounts, whereas most other any other subscription services I have are just sort of like my own account. Other than that,
so everybody send your emails to Netflix and ask them to please make sure that they support this feature in tvOS 13. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah, and can we talk about? I know this was one of the things that Netflix, I feel, and I think others feel, does wrong, which is when you're scrolling through Netflix, it shows you a video preview on some stuff, and it will play the audio.
I thought I was the only one that was bothered by this.
Oh, I hate it. So
hard
much.
Nope.
Yeah, so much. I hate it.
The Apple one, does it play sound? I don't remember if it plays sound though when it's.
I haven't downloaded the beta preview yet, so I don't have a personal experience with that. But to your point, Renee, show me the video. That's fine. But please don't play the audio. That messes with me really bad.
Oh,
I find myself.
It's like the old times, right, Laura? Like, isn't it the old times of web pages where you're like, the web page would suddenly play sound and you were just all jarred?
Yeah.
That's the same way, Laura.
MySpace. Like, where's the audio to turn off?
And you find yourself like skipping ahead as quickly as possible because you don't want that audio to click to like start in. So you're like looking through these different movies and TV shows and like I'm not even going to read the summary because I don't want to hear the
summary.
Especially if it's something that's kind of like loud or jarring or scary or like, you're trying, it's late at night and you don't want the kids to wake up.
It's like I have so much anxiety now for Netflix because I'm going through it. Something happens, I turn away, and then I'm like, oh no, it's going to start playing. And then I have to move it or leave it. Or like I start looking at something that goes boom, 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 boom. I'm like, oh no, stop.
And some people are really not into like horror stuff. My partner is one, he does not like scary movies at all. And so there have been times where we're scrolling through and then some scary movie starts playing and he's like, no, I don't want to watch this. And I'm like, I promise I wasn't trying to watch this. It's just auto playing.
Right. So I think that it defeats its purpose. You're now leaving the page faster, not paying attention to what you are because of that. Like I'm on a screen, I'm like, no, I must leave. I'm not going to even be able to read it because this is not, or I'm trying to, keep the kids asleep, right? I'm watching Netflix while someone else is having a meeting and I don't want to, suddenly have music playing in the background.
Yeah. The other stuff coming to tvOS, Apple Arcade, whenever that launches, support for.
Very excited about Apple Arcade.
Me too. I'm excited about the games that are going to be made for it for sure. Xbox and PlayStation game controllers are going to be supported on the Apple TV, which I know people.
My husband's
are super
really excited about that.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's not just Apple TV. Apple didn't announce it, but those two controllers are also supported in the beta right now. They're also supported on iOS 13 and tvOS. Or I'm sorry, iPad OS.
Really?
Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And then let's do macOS Catalina.
Wait, before we move on real quick, let me point out just a couple of small things that I think are pretty exciting. There's going to be Control Center in Apple TV. I'm not even sure what that's going to look like, but I'm kind of excited about that. So we're going to get to call up a control screen, control center screen to like quickly access certain controls like volume and stuff when we're listening to music, which by the way, music, a new feature coming to the music app is scrolling lyrics for when songs are playing. So you can karaoke on your Apple TV, on your iPhone,
Renee
on
and
your
I
iPad.
are so excited about that.
I've already used this on
New
iOS,
Year's
and it's my
Day,
favorite thing in the world.
celebrate.
It looks fantastic. It's beautifully done because it takes elements from the album art and sort of blurs them in the background and keeps it moving. And then the text comes up on the screen, and it does a really good job of syncing the music to the words. It's the perfect karaoke thing. But sometimes I just like to know, because I'm a big. I listen to my favorite song, or whatever happens to be songs that I like, it's all about sound at first. And it takes me like 30 listens before I ever kind of know the lyrics and get curious about the lyrics. And this has been interesting because I've been going back on songs that I absolutely love, but don't necessarily know the lyrics, and sort of being able to see those lyrics play out is really fun. So
They don't have a little, like, it doesn't light up the word that you should be on, though. It gives you the lyric, right? Because that's the only thing, is that sometimes I'm not that great with, like, I see the lyric, but then I sing the song too early or not. So that's the only piece that I would love if either there was the little bouncing dot, or if the word actually highlighted, or whatever it might be to help me out, because I might need that.
Always
but I'm very
asking
excited
for too
anyways.
much. Always wanting more, Georgia. Always wanting more.
The good thing is it's only about 4 or 5 words at a time. And so it's not too much, it's not showing like a paragraph and you're just going, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here.
We know you want a bouncing ball.
I definitely feel you there on that one.
Or an emoji or something. I don't care.
Yeah, no, that's fun. And then also with the control center, that's where you will do the user switching. So Mac OS.
I feel like they're trolling us though, because tvOS got dark mode long before iPhone, and now tvOS is getting multi-account long before iPad.
Yeah. Do you think that's coming to iPad eventually?
I hope. They have it for iPad for schools, but I want it for everybody.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah. So on to the Mac. Everybody that I know that doesn't pay as much attention to Apple as we do, immediately we're freaking out. Where are all my iTunes tracks going? What do I do? iTunes is going away. Oh my gosh. My mom the night before the conference was like, Micah, I heard they're getting rid of iTunes. What does that mean? And I'm like having to sort of explain to everybody, don't worry, it's going to be okay. So Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, and Apple TV are 3 apps that are coming to macOS Catalina. Those 3 apps are going to serve as the content buckets for iTunes. So iTunes is getting split out into those 3 apps. The idea is that sometimes when you're a jack of all trades, you're a master of none. So let's make 3 apps that are the masters of their particular content. So Apple Music.
Masters of their domain.
Apple Podcasts and Apple TV. And I'm excited about the Apple TV app coming to the Mac, because I've been enjoying Apple TV on iPad and on the television.
Yeah, and this is like a full-on app. It does like 4K HDR. Fine. I'm gonna put a finally on that.
Finally.
Yeah, asterisk finally, asterisk 4K HDR on the Mac.
And Dolby Atmos, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lori, can we all get Dolby
exciting.
Atmos bars to test this? Can we just all go get them?
Yes.
She's like, you can get them. You have to pay for it yourself, but you can.
I'm actually pretty excited about this. I've been testing this one in the developer beta, and I think Renee, you had kind of mentioned at some point that you don't usually watch TV on your Mac, so you're kind of like indifferent to the TV app on Mac. But I, however, I use it as my sort of background noise when I'm working all day. So I'll have it in a tiny little call out screen in the top corner. And so for me, I'm really excited about being able to easily access all of the different streaming services that I use right in the TV app, instead of having to go to Netflix, go to Shudder TV, go to Hulu separately if I want to watch something from that. I noticed that right now I can't access things like Hulu and Netflix and things like that from the TV app on Mac.
Go in the TV app, not until we all unsubscribe from them.
Jerks. Yeah, that's true. But you know what? Netflix will lose out on that. So that's their problem, not mine. But I did notice that I find it to be really nice to just kind of, oh, there's, HBO, some show on HBO that I've been watching. If I wanted to, I could just click on it and watch it. I don't have to go to the website, find the page on the website and then use Pipifire to like reduce it. Not that I don't love Pipifire and won't continue to use it for as long as it exists, because I do love it. But having it just right there in the TV app is so convenient for just quickly finding some background fodder to not, to give me noise, but not to distract me while I'm working all day. I love it.
So I'm not religiously opposed to it. I just find that when, like, even podcasts or TV, if it's coming from the computer in front of me, it distracts me. But if it's coming from the TV set or like a separate iPad, for some reason that doesn't distract me. And I don't know what that is, but I can't have it coming right at me.
Yeah, I have that too.
And I'm the not the opposite, but for me that tiny screen up in the corner is my comfort zone. So for me, it's actually a really wonderful thing. So yeah, everyone's different. I'm excited about it. I think
this gives you at least the option, though. Now, so if you're like Renee, you can not use it, but if you're more leaning towards Lori's way, you can use it.
Well, my sister watches tons of TV, but she watches it full screen on her laptop. Like, that's basically her portable television. I don't know why. She has an iPad.
No, but you know what? It's nice that you're working on one thing that you keep on. It's just with you.
What I would love is if Pipifire, you could put like a little Fraggle sitting on top of it and its little feet would dangle over the top of the pip.
But you see, that would be so distracting. You're watching your show and there's like a little...
Like, you could get license.
Renee, I was with you on the last thing you said, but
is he going to whistle every hour?
Oh, golly. I can't jump with you on this one. Sorry.
I saw an interview on Hot Ones with Halle Berry talking about, I know I have to give a little shout out to that episode. She was talking about how things have changed over the years and how we watch movies, how we consume media in that way. And it used to be that we went to movie theaters to watch movies. That's how we watched them when they first came out. And more people are watching things on their tiny little screens, even their iPhone screens. Yeah. They'll watch a movie for the first time. And how sort of like the people in the movie industry have had to figure out how to navigate that and make movies work for different screens. And I think TV app is kind of an example of that most of us think, well, if I'm going to watch TV or watch a movie, I'm going to watch it on my television screen. But that's not true anymore. People are watching movies and TV shows on a huge variety of different screens, and Mac screens and PC screens are one of them. So
VR screens.
And what's a TV and what's a movie is changing. Like, you have things from Netflix being nominated for Academy Awards and Steven Spielberg getting real grumpy about it. But like, where we get these things from has become highly mutable as well.
Yeah. So I think the TV app fits perfectly into like the future of how we consume media. So it's doing its job pretty darn good.
Pretty doggone well.
And the podcast app is almost indistinguishable from the music app and the TV app. And people who are worried about Catalyst, name Marzipan apps not being good Mac citizens, I think this shows that you can make them very Mac-like if you put in the effort.
Yeah, I hope that means we're also going to see updates for the first round of apps that came to the Mac.
Did you hear the explanation about those that Craig Federighi gave?
No, tell me what.
He said that some people saw them and thought that they weren't, that Marzipan, or like he calls it now, Catalyst, wasn't good. But he just said they let the designers do whatever they want, and some of the designs turned out not to be good. But that wasn't a reflection on the technology. That was a reflection on how it was implemented.
Okay, so does that mean that Home for the Mac could be updated, or are they sticking with that?
It should be, because I don't think they're using anywhere near all the hooks that are available now.
Yeah, as it stands right now, there's certainly more tie-ins that could happen there.
I think, and when it comes to the way Apple updates their apps, a lot of it is probably going to have to do with priorities. And if there's a big,
am I not their first priority, Lori? What are you saying?
You're our priority.
You are their biggest priority, but there's more people that are not you than there are you. So
it's weird how that works.
For now,
people keep telling me that, and I just don't understand what that means.
But I think Aaron Pierce, to your interest, Mike, I think Aaron Pierce said that all the HomeKit stuff wasn't yet available through Catalyst, so he couldn't do his apps yet.
Oh,
but I'm hoping that changes.
We could get better. That's exciting. Okay, good. Well, let's see what else. Sidecar. Everybody's excited about Sidecar, are they not?
Everybody wants a sidecar, sidecar.
So Sidecar basically lets you use your iPad as an external display for your Mac. And that goes as far as letting you use your iPad as a drawing tablet for your Mac. This is super exciting, I would say, for digital artists, and a pretty cool feature for anybody who sometimes needs an external display. That we've seen some third parties offer apps and hardware that do this, and now Apple is doing it themselves. So I don't know. I'm excited to give this feature a try. Really excited about it. I have used a Wacom tablet for years whenever I'm doing graphic design stuff, and to be able to use my Apple Pencil and iPad to do that is super exciting, because I never could afford like a Cintiq tablet that has the actual display right in front of me. So this is really, I'm pumped about this personally.
Am I the only one that whenever Apple puts in a new feature, I feel bad for everyone that developed Macs apps that would be able to do that feature? Because all I see is
they
like
only do like 30, like Apple only does like 30%. Like even on these, if you take like Luma Display or something, this will only work with Mac, and the other ones work with PC as well.
True.
And also these only work with pencil, and the other ones work with fingers.
Well, I just always feel a little bit sad.
What you do, if Apple Sherlock's you turn around and Moriarty them.
Okay, so that's interesting, Renee. I didn't know that note there.
Yeah.
Is this, so you have to use Apple Pencil, period, or you have to use Apple Pencil if you want to do drawing stuff?
No, so I can give you a quick example. If you don't have an Apple Pencil, or you're using an iPad that doesn't support Apple Pencil, there's a frame around the outside of the screen. And again, let me point out, this is developer beta 1.
Right.
Things might change by the time they get released to the public. But there's a frame around your entire screen
to Lori.
that it has just a handful of controls that you can tap on, like go back, go forward, reduce screen, or something like that. It's a very minimum touch features that it's like in a frame around the screen. But if you want to scroll, if you want to touch on something, if you want to click on something, you have to use Apple Pencil for all of that stuff. So
you can like
it is very much
in a window.
Apple didn't want you to be able to use. I think pinch and zoom is actually a glitch, because I'm not sure that that's a feature that they're planning on including in the end. Of course, we'll know more as it gets going. But Apple, they've always said that they don't think that a touchscreen Mac experience is good. This is their way of giving us what we want, which is a touchscreen Mac. But they're also saying, like, using your finger to try to navigate a computer system is just not good. So we're going to tell you to use an Apple Pencil instead, because you'll have a more precise pointer clicker for that. So it makes a lot of sense, I think. But Renee and I actually got a chance to see a demo.
Like, it kind of forces you to use the Apple Pencil. It's not like you can't really choose.
You could use it as a second display without the Apple Pencil, which is all that some people want, but you can't use it as a second.
Okay. This makes so much more sense now, because right now I have 2 displays and I can't poke and prod and fart around on either of them. Yeah, I get it now. So it just works as an external display. My mouse can
and your
move
mouse
from
still
one
works
screen
from
to
the
the other
back side of it.
Yeah, okay. This makes so much sense. I was thinking of it like, oh, that's not cool, but yeah, duh. It's just an external display. But if I want to do cool stuff in Adobe Photoshop or Illustrator or Final Cut Pro, then I'll use my Apple Pencil to do that. Aha. Okay. I like it. I dig it. And that's so much clearer to me now. Thank you, Sidecar pals. We should also talk about accessibility, because the voice control, that was super, 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 super neat. Seeing voice control, honestly, like this seems like it's almost a superpower on these different platforms. And I'm really happy about the way that Apple has implemented this, where you say, you can split the screen up into different sections. They did a really cool thing where you were trying to zoom on a map and you said like zoom 6 times and it automatically zoomed in, and then you can choose different sections. This just means better, more accessibility, and Apple continues to put their money where their mouth is on what they say about wanting to be a company that that creates technology that empowers everyone, not just some people.
Yeah, seeing the grid come up and seeing people say like, this number, this, like, to think about how they reverse engineered it to the way the need would be to how do you find certain things on the screen? How do you change things? How are you going to be able to access different things when you're not able to touch, you're not able to move, or was absolutely amazing. I don't know if for you, Lori or Renee, when you were there watching, if the reaction was
They had
big.
Harrison Ford do the demo. He said, zoom, enhance, knock it off. No,
it was really, really cool. That was amazing. And not just like, it just made so much sense.
1Password, like right away, Rue from 1Password made a beta build, built it out, recorded a demo, and put it up. And it was like, open documents, open photos, open photo of Claire, close, share to, and it was just so good.
Yeah, that's really what I want to say. I don't want to lessen the impact of this for folks who require different forms of accessibility by saying this. I just thought I was excited about this myself as someone who has no accessibility requirements. I thought this was super, super cool. Just watching how this is set up.
It's like Apple builds it for everybody, because you might be in an accident, or you might have surgery, or you might be holding a baby, and you have to look at maps, and you don't have to go put your baby down.
Dog, and I need to get to something of the screen. Yeah.
You're absolutely right, because there's so many times I change accessibility features. Like I make the fonts bigger just because I don't want to, I can see better with doing that. And this is like, you're thinking about the future, but also I think that you're absolutely right. Any of us might need this at some point in time.
Apple, like I got a chance to, if you go back and listen to a couple episodes of Vector, I got to talk to Bud Tribble, who's VP of software, about privacy. And I got to speak to Sarah Hellinger, who's director of accessibility policy at Apple, and she calls it customizations. Like you can make the font bigger or darker. Like it's a lot. Their whole goal is to allow you to interact with your device in the way that is best to you at any moment.
I like that. Well, we do need to talk about iPad OS and iOS, but before we do that, whoa, what? I did not mean to do that.
That is the funniest
you can keep
thing
it there.
ever.
Yeah.
Micah, you are looking adorable.
This is...
And can we have a few moments on the privacy? Oh.
Georgia, I got some birds for you.
I'm just so much happier now.
You like these birds? You like these tweeting birds?
I do.
Oh, okay. So not like the whistle.
No.
What about those birds fighting?
Hour.
Okay, folks. Now that we've had our fun, thank you for that. I would like to tell you about our pals at Wix. I've talked about Wix before. Wix is super awesome because it's a great way for you to build a website. In fact, over 140 million people are using Wix for their website. You can start and publish for free, and there are more than 500 templates that you can use or start from scratch if you'd like to. I put together a site over at imorepodcast.com, which you can check out to sort of give you an idea of something that I was able to put together in mere moments. There are all sorts of customizations you can make for your text, for images, for videos. There are loads of design features, and what I think is incredibly important, SEO, because you can build a site, but if no one knows you're there, I mean, it's just like that bear in the woods. It's just like that tree in the woods. If it falls, does anyone hear it? Who knows? If your site's there, but no one could find it, is it really there? So with Wix's SEO tools, you can get found by search engines like Google and Bing. Now I want to tell you about Wix ADI. That is the artificial design intelligence. And it was what made me excited about Wix, because what it does is it helps you create a website in moments. It asks you a few questions about sort of the goals that you have for the website you're trying to build. And then you upload like your logo or a photo that sort of represents your brand, however you're feeling about that. And then it automatically puts together a color palette for you and suggests a few templates that work well for your site. And in mere moments, you've got a site ready to go, ready to roll. Then from there, you can start to add in things as you want. Now, if you have a little bit more control issues and you really want to take control of things, then you can use Wix Code. That lets you create a website with no limits. So it's none of that, plug and play kind of stuff, drag and drop. This is full on hassle-free coding where you can make advanced web applications and robust websites all on your own. So we're excited about Wix. We're excited about imorepodcast.com. If you would like to get started, you can do that by going to wix.com. That's wix.com/podcast to get 10% off. Wix.com/podcast. Thank you so much, Wix. You folks rock. Okay.
Before we get started.
Oh.
I want to just double check. I think I had some internet connection issues, and I think I fixed them. Great. Okay.
It's working great.
Great. Okay. Good.
You are not pixelated anymore, and you sound smooth.
Okay, cool. I think it's fixed. Now we can start.
Okay, cool.
But we'll still pretend occasionally that there's problems just so that you'll never know for sure.
No, I'm not. I can't troll like that. So let's talk. I guess we should start with iOS before we go to talk about iPadOS. Of course, I think everybody.
iOS. Who cares?
Everybody's excited about dark mode, right?
Dark mode. Dark mode was the thing.
Yeah, dark
so
mode.
Can I tell you why I'm not excited about it?
Yeah.
Yes, that's interesting.
You be counterculture.
So I think dark mode is fine. Okay, it's like
Are you
a few
trolling
years
us?
ago. But what I'm really excited about is that Apple didn't just implement dark mode. They implemented something called semantic dynamic colors. So previously you would say this is a white background with black text, and now this is a black background with white text. But that can only get you so far. What they're doing now is this is system background color. This is label color. This is system blue. And system blue can now be optimized for a light background, for a dark background, maybe one day for a variety of different looks. And that's what I really like, is that along with Swift UI and Catalyst and some other things, Apple is abstracting away the interface from it's not a static thing that you make. It's more and people cheered for this. You say in your code red button, and that's it. You don't say you don't draw the button, you don't pick the colors. You say red button, and then dark mode knows what its best red button is. Light mode knows what its best red button is. The Mac versus the iPad knows what its best red button is. And you just get all of that, and it's always the best form of that button without you having to make individual ones every time that might break if anything else changes.
Okay, that's super cool.
I've even noticed these subtle differences in iOS 12 versus iOS 13 with apps that have a dark theme versus what they look like on iOS 13. It's these subtle changes where it's kind of a grayish black instead of a solid black, something like that.
Mm.
It's there's very subtle differences that just look more pleasant. They don't, I think one of the big complaints when Mac first had dark mode, we had a handful of people who were talking about how they couldn't see the font. It was blurry. I think on iPhone that actually really does kind of solve that issue of white print on black screen for some people who have trouble with seeing kind of the font. It's not as fuzzy, and it's has that sort of grayish color instead of solid black, so that it's easier for the white to pop out and not kind of look fuzzy to your eyes. So it's
I call it migraine mode. It's great for when you're having a migraine or hangover mode. You just don't want too much glaring at you.
or husband is trying to sleep mode.
That is really the way that I use it all. We'll be using it all the time. I think they had to make it better though. They've made us wait for so long. They're like, don't worry though. It'll be really good.
Yeah, and it's all
I'm gonna
new.
wait
It's
6
all new
years,
human
but it's
interface
okay.
guidelines. Like they have layers of different. Like if you have a multi-layer app, the colors are all set
That's
so that you can
very
see the
cool.
different layers in the app.
That
It's
is-
really smart.
Yeah, that's very smart.
Happy.
Agreed. Anything?
Can you set it for certain times?
Yes, you can set it either for sunrise, sunset, or specific times.
I
It'll
love
transition
that.
automatically.
Okay, good.
You can have dynamic so that it'll just change automatically during during light and dark times. It's cool.
And that'll still work with the night mode. So it'll be the whites will now be yellow also. So I get dark and yes, thank you, Apple.
Your eyes are going to feel like there's cucumbers resting on them while you're looking at your iPhone.
And we have a
Georgia,
title.
Something I really wanted to hear your excitement about was sign in with Apple. So, no, truly though, because this is
I'm
this
so
is all about
excited.
privacy. Yeah.
I'm so excited. Like it's just such a wonderful idea. We were really, really excited about that, about because I'm not on Facebook and I don't want to sign in with Google. And so this is perfect for me because I would actually not sign into certain things because I didn't want to have to give up and really like everything's now asking.
Too lazy to make a new account, too private centric to use an existing account.
And I feel bad if I would be like signing in with Renee for my Candy Crush. I did. I used to do that.
Which you do all the time, I'm sure.
I used to. I'm not playing anymore. But when I was playing, I would do that. And now you don't have to worry. I love this, and I don't think that people really understand. I think that people got so upset with like the stand that they missed out on this. Like they didn't talk as much as I think that they should. That this is so amazing. You get to be able to use the apps that you want. And Renee, you were saying that also they're gonna like make the apps have to have this in it if you have to sign in with Google and Facebook. So you'll always have this as an option. You're not going to be strong-armed into giving up your privacy.
No, Google and Facebook are being strong. Well, no, the developers are being strong-armed to offer this as a solution, and I think it has to be on top too.
I want to make a comment on that.
I think Mike is reacting.
Right. I just want to know. I just have a question. So to be clear, if the app offers sign in with Google and sign in with Facebook or whatever, then they are required to use sign in with Apple.
Yes.
But if they do their own sign in, then they are not.
Yes.
That is awesome. I love
And there's
that.
one other part that's really smart too, because they're afraid that people are going to just hit that button and not remember. Like if you download Fortnite, maybe you have an Epic account, but you don't realize that Fortnite is made by Epic. So when you hit that button, it's going to check keychain first. And if it already sees a login, you won't even see the sign in with Apple form. You'll be given your login.
So
Instead.
Right, so
That's
you won't
so
be
amazing.
accidentally
I can cry.
signing up a second time, which I have done with apps multiple times, is trying to sign in or sign up when I actually already had an account and forgot. But I also want
And
to
it has to be on top.
when you say things like force the developers, I do want to say that I talked to a couple of developers, a handful of developers at WWDC, and they don't consider it a forced thing. They're very excited about this and they're happy to be able to do it. There's going to be developers that are upset about it because they want to use your data and share it with other people and all that stuff we don't like. But the developers that don't care about your data, they love this feature. So it's not a strong
arm. They do, Laura. Yeah, like even if they like someone want like this is Apple in my mind, Lori. This is like Apple protecting us and understanding how important our privacy is to us, even though this goes against the need for profit. And I do think that apps and developers, like they should profit from what they're having, but not against my choice for my privacy. If you want to give someone your privacy and you're knowledgeable in being able to do that, fully okay.
To quote Steve, they should have to ask and then ask you again and then ask,
make sure that I understand.
Yeah.
Like,
In
right? Like with
simple
consent,
language,
when we talk about consent, you have to understand what you are consenting to. And I love that this is now saying, listen, we're going to make sure that if you don't understand it, great. If you want to give your information, if it's still there. It's not saying you can't give it.
They can no longer conflate disclosure with convenience.
Love it. Very exciting.
Mwah.
The other thing that was magnificent is before there was always location, and then they added only while using the app, and now they've added one time. So if you download an app and you don't want to give it your location, but you need to use it for something location-based, you can just give it one-time access. And for apps that have more access, when it checks with you again, it won't just say, Facebook has been using your location in the background. It'll show you a map of everywhere Facebook has registered your location. So it's like Micah's reaction when he found out Google was monitoring his son with tickets. That's the reaction you have now. Like, it makes it palpable. It's like location shaming. And also, they're not letting them use Bluetooth and Wi-Fi to get around it. So immediately I installed the beta. It's like Facebook wants to use Bluetooth. Amazon wants to use Bluetooth.
Yeah, I was like, no. I don't need this to be using Bluetooth. I don't need this to be using Bluetooth. And the only thing, I hope that they cut back on the prompts that you get, which I assume they will, the prompts that you get for the location thing, because Dark Sky is an app that I'm okay always having my location because it gives me my weather and, I know their privacy policy, et cetera, et cetera. And now like 3 different times I've had to say, hey, I'm okay with them having my location.
So I did ask about that, and they said that it might be buggy now, but it's gonna factor in user consent. So that if you did something active, then they're gonna consider, like, they're not gonna show you a dialogue. But if it's been going on for a while, or they notice you're not using the app or something, it'll prompt you just to remind you that it's there.
Oh, okay. I love that.
And that's really great too. If, for example, if I were using Dark Sky and then I just decided that I didn't want to use it anymore for whatever reason, it'll prompt me, months down the road. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about Dark Sky, and either start using it again or be like, I actually don't want to use it anymore. I'm going to turn that location off.
Yeah, I agree.
Now for the emails, so when you want to sign in and you have to put in an email, can someone explain to me how exactly that works? Because if I want to sign into something, I can sign in now with my Apple, which is going to make a protected kind of just for that.
Burner. Lori hates that word, but burner email.
So I only have a problem with the word burner because it implies that it's actually only used once and then thrown away, but it's not. It's an email address that is tied to your Apple ID.
Okay, but if they send me spam, I will then will it come to me? Will I be able to delete it?
Any email they send you will come to you, and you can reply to it.
Yeah,
but you can also delete that anonymous email relay anytime you want.
You can also,
and it's easy to set up.
Exactly.
You don't set it up.
You don't set it up.
Yeah, it's set up automatically.
I love this. This is.
And with iCloud, with your mail apps and things like that, you can set it up so that, hey, any emails that come from this address, I want to immediately be marked as read and sent to the trash or sent to the archive. So that way you can still keep that email for the account for logging in, but then you won't get the stupid newsletter spam or whatever, or you can just unsubscribe depending. This is really exciting. I'm pumped about this. Another thing that I wanted to talk about with iOS it's 2 things. One is with HomePod. Now it's going to start being able to distinguish voices. So different users can, have personal requests. So that's messages, music, more. There's live radio now. So there are 100,000 radio stations that you can listen to, and a sleep timer. So that way you can, say, hey,
So just so everybody knows, I also can't hear Mike anymore.
Okay. I thought it was just us maybe. I was going to type
We can't hear you, Micah.
Maybe it's just me again, because at the beginning of the show, we couldn't hear, but
we're having lots of technical difficulties. So Micah will give you just a few minutes because we definitely cannot still hear you. So keep working on that for just a minute.
Why is Google censoring Micah Sargent?
It's actually your AirPods that are causing Micah's issue.
Why are my AirPods censoring Micah Sargent?
Speaking of AirPods, while Micah's figuring out his microphone situation, for anybody who's listening, not watching, Renee and Georgia are sharing one pair of AirPods. But someday, and in iOS 13 and iPad OS, you'll be able to use your own 2-pair set of headphones per ear. You don't have to share one set of headphones. You'll be able to use audio sharing. I haven't even looked to see if it's coming to the Mac. It might be because it's an AirPod feature.
You can share 2 sets of AirPods with 4 ears.
You could do that.
If you're in a family car
You
trip.
probably could actually because
Yeah, totally.
yeah. I don't know what the benefit of that
And
would
I
be.
heard a rumor
We'll see.
that we haven't even heard all the stuff coming to HomePod yet this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
So
Yeah,
the
So
the HomePod
so-
OS update isn't even available yet. So
Lori, do you know if for HomePod, if I have like my child's on it, but I don't want him to be able to turn off my music, can I like go into and give him like I can make Renee only do one thing on my HomePod?
we don't know anything yet because it's not
Okay.
out.
Micah?
Not even.
Yes.
Yay, we can hear you.
Good. And I can hear you. That was a very strange thing. that
Lori can
happened.
hear you.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
Renee, we're not
Are they-
being
I don't know if
trolling.
Are they
us, though.
joking? Are you
Wait,
joking?
are you serious? Oh no, they were serious. I thought they were trolling me.
I thought so too, especially when they were making jokes about not being about me being messed up. That I was like, oh no, they're just being funny.
Oh,
I know.
dear.
Today's a bad day for Google Hangouts, which
Yeah.
everybody, by the way, Google Hangouts is so awful to us today. Just
Yeah, sorry
it
about
deserves
that.
to be put into a prison today.
Yeah, for real. Can you still
Oh
not
my
hear
God,
us?
we still can't hear Micah.
But you
What
can
in
hear
the
me.
Okay.
world?
Yeah,
I
so Lori,
can,
you have to
so-
tell us what Micah says, and you have to
Hold
tell
on.
Micah what
I'm gonna try to fix this. I'll be right back.
This has
Okay.
got to be a Hangouts issue.
Wait,
It's-
she said
yeah.
okay. I
I'm gonna
thought
try coming
I
back
thought
in
I
one
heard
more
Georgia
time.
say okay, like she could hear me.
Oh,
Okay,
they
I'll
left
be right
you.
back. I'll be right back, Lori.
Okay. So I'm all alone right now. The podcast is mine.
Now we can't hear Lori or Micah.
Well, Micah's not even
This
here
is
yet.
really
so-
bad. Oh,
Uh,
okay, we got Lori. Okay, good.
Oh, good. Good. God, you missed me. I was singing to the 6 people who are watching our program live right now.
Hey, Mr. DJ, some
These
funny
are the
remix.
fun things why you should watch live.
Oh, we're so sorry, Jim.
I know.
I know.
Poor Jim.
I'll note the time that it was at about 56
We're almost-
minutes that we started
yeah.
We're
having
almost at
problems.
the end, I guess. Oh well.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Nope. No, Micah.
Oh no, and I can hear. So we are almost out of time. So Micah,
What?
do you want to just do kind of the goodbyes and
Yeah.
yeah, because
Lori will
we're
tell us
gonna
when to speak.
Yeah, 'cause this is on. Yeah, so we did talk for a long time about iPad OS or iOS and everything. Unfortunately, folks, Google Hangouts is being a pill today, and is making it difficult for us to communicate. And so we are going to bounce off of here for today, but we will be back next week with more.
we'll talk about the iPad.
We'll talk
iPad
about
OS.
iPad OS. It deserves its own time. It's
It does.
amazing.
It does.
And we've got more to talk about too. You know, you and I have to get excited about Animal Crossing and things like that. And we'll
Mhm.
have more to wrap up on E3. So thank you all out there for listening. Thanks so much to Jim Metzendorf for editing the show. We will, of course, be back next week. Lori Gill, we'll start with you. If people are looking to get in touch with you online, how can they do so?
They can find me at Appaholic. That's APPAHOLIK. They can find me writing all about all the new updates on iMore. Georgia Dow, if our listeners want to find you, how can they find you?
Well, if you're dealing with anxiety or depression, you can check out anxiety-videos.com. And I'm every once in a while on Twitter. It's at Georgia_Dow.
And Renee Ricci, if our listeners want to find you on the internet, how can they find you?
I am at Renee Ritchie on all the social things. You can find me at imore.com/vector, or you can check out my videos on the newly prettied up, beautificated youtube.com/vector.
New and pretty. And if you are looking to get in touch with me, you can find me on the social things at Micah Sargent, or you can head to chihuahua.coffee. That's CHIHUAHUA.coffee, which has links to all the different things that I do. You can find all of our writing at various times over on iMore.com. I hope, depending on when you're listening to this, you have a great week or weekend. This has been the iMore Show. Goodbye.
Thank you.